which is with Alex Norris, the Minister for Local Growth and Building Safety. Good morning to you. Good to see you again.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start with what we just mentioned there in the eye. Latest sort of round of planning announcements that you're announcing today.
Yes, well, as you know, building 1.5 million homes is a crucial part of our plan for change. As part of that, we've been streamlining the planning process. We've addressed the National Planning Policy Framework, and this today is the next element of that. I think viewers might be surprised to hear that there are 24+ organisations that have to be consulted on planning applications. That's providing a bit of a bottleneck often not getting back in time. So, you know, that's seen a reduction in the speed at which applications are being granted. We think that needs to be removed.
So it's been really interesting. You say viewers might be surprised. I was surprised reading a lot of this detail. You mentioned that, you know, Sport England, for example, is one of the bodies that you're going to remove from the planning process. I can't imagine Sport England would often try and stop the building of a sports facility. So what kind of difference is this going to make ultimately?
Yeah, I think, again, you'd be surprised. First of all, Sport England are a great organisation. I've worked with them locally. They're fine people. But for example, there's a development in Bradford that's next to a cricket pitch. 140 flats. It's been in the pipeline now for multiple years and has been held up. And I think, again, viewers would be really surprised to hear this, that the hold-up is around a disagreement on the speed at which cricket balls are hit. Now,
but it's Sport England that's stopping it.
So Sport England are querying the modelling of the speed at which the balls will be hit. And that, as a result, has meant that the whole process is now multiple years down the line and there's no build-out. I mean, again, if viewers are interested, they can see this dialogue play out in real time on the council website. That's not an effective planning system, and that's why we're making the changes we're making today.
So it's interesting here you say this. I mean, obviously, there's a consultation period as well. And you were on with us, I think, a week or so ago, talking about another sort of subsector of the planning, and there's consultation periods here and there. Why not do it all at once? And sort of, I get your process. We'll talk about building all these houses, but you know, we're best part of a year into the government, and we're announcing little piecemeal additions to what you're doing on planning, still in consultations. I mean, it's going quite slowly, isn't it?
No, I mean, it's right that we do things properly, but we've managed to consult and publish and change the entire planning framework for this country. So we're now working to an entirely new planning framework. So that's significant progress. You know, £800 million more made available for affordable housing. These changes, it is right that you treat people properly by saying that we're going to make a change, but we want to know from those affected if they think there's a problem that's created by that. I think that's reasonable. But nevertheless, we do want to get on with it, all in pursuit of a more streamlined planning system that promotes the building of 1.5 million homes under our plan for change, and I think that's the right balance.
And that's still the target, 1.5 million homes by the end of this Parliament?
Yes, absolutely. That's the commitment we made at the election, that's the commitment through our plan for change, and that's what we're going to do.
One sort of link to this but separate story, the Times reporting today that you're going to offer money if people in local areas have things like a pylon put up near them. Is that true? You could have money off your energy bills if your area takes the hit, as it were?
Yes, I mean, again, as part of our plan for change, there's all our commitments around being a clean energy superpower, and we're clear that communities need to share the benefits. And if you are making that sacrifice of having some of the infrastructure in your community, you should get some of the money back. So we're making that commitment, £250 a year if you are near those pylons. So we think that's a fair balance between people who are making that commitment to the country themselves. Well, they should be rewarded for that.
Wanted to talk about the peace talks that'll be starting in Saudi Arabia this week, and the news that Jonathan Powell has been sent by the government to help, I guess, train or work with Ukrainian negotiators to make sure they get the best deal. What are his qualifications for that?
Well, first of all, our role in this is to make sure that Ukraine's in the strongest position possible. Peace will only be secured through that strength. That's why we did the aid package that we did last week. And then alongside that, we've been doing significant diplomatic efforts with our European counterparts around a future strategy. And of course, globally, we're really pleased to see what's happening this week in Saudi Arabia. That's a big step forward. We collaborate as a UK government with the Ukraine government at lots of levels. And so I don't think it's a surprise that our people are talking to their people. And I think that's the right thing to do. And
Jonathan Powell's the right man for that?
Well, he's our national security advisor and has got a very, very long track record in this area. And I know that when John Healey, our defence secretary, was in Washington talking to his American counterparts, I know that they will represent as well.
In terms of the rhetoric, I know Pat McFadden was saying this yesterday to Trevor Phillips, you don't want to sort of comment every day on things coming out of the White House, but on some topics it's very hard not to, particularly when the US is brokering these peace talks in the US. I mean, is the Trump rhetoric on this topic dangerous? Does it potentially cost lives in Ukraine?
I don't think providing that day-to-day running commentary, is the right thing to do for the government. Our role in this is as an honest broker, bringing parties together. Our role is putting Ukraine in the strongest position possible. That's why we've done the aid package, the military aid package that we've done. So that's our role, rather than, there's going to be twists and turns during the process. There always is. But, we don't do our diplomacy over the airwaves. I don't think that serves the British people to do so.
I mean, he said that Ukraine might not survive yesterday.
Well, we're clear that Ukraine is a sovereign state and that we are going to do everything we can to put them in the strongest position. And that's what we've done with our military aid, that's what we're doing diplomatically, and that's what we're going to do.
Wanted to ask as well about Mark Carney as a new Canadian Prime Minister. We've talked in the past with you and many of your colleagues about how being a centre-left leader is rare on the world stage at the moment. Presumably, the UK couldn't really have a better leader than Mark Carney, former Bank of England governor, no less.
Well, he's well known. I have to say, I don't know him personally, but I know he's very well known to a lot of my colleagues. We congratulate him on his success. As you know, it's a great time to be leading his nation. Canada's a really important ally for us, and we'll be working very closely with him, I'm sure.
I've asked this question with lots of recent elections to you and your government. I've never felt such a genuine and warm response. And the tone and the smile felt more pronounced than perhaps when we were talking about German or US elections in the last few months. Just finally, welfare cuts. It's clearly on the table as we approach the spring statement. Are you all prepared for the biggest, perhaps, split in the party of this premiership as we approach this?
Well, I have to say, the clue's in the name for me with the Labour Party, with the party of work. There's 1 million young people not in education, employment or training. There's nearly 3 million people who want to work but can't because of their health and not getting the support to get back into work. That, for me, gives me a profound sense of purpose to want to change that. We're going to be setting out our plans later this week, but the principles that will guide that will be that the people who need support will get that support. Of course they will. But that we need to, restore trust and fairness into the system, improve the broken assessment elements. But crucially, those folks who want to work, can work, but need help, they're going to get that help. We're the only major developed nation that's not bounced back from COVID in this regard. So we've got to change that, and that's why we'll be making the pronouncements we make later this week.
Alex Norris, good to see you as always. Thanks for joining us.